The movie starts and we see a girl named Alice who is twisting her hair as she walks towards a bar where her two friends are waiting for her. One of her friends is named Tess and the other is named Sophie. Alice has a very intense expression on her face, but we do not know the reason behind it just yet. They are sitting at a bar where they go on to order some drinks and something to munch during their hangout, which does not take place very often. The waiter at the bar keeps looking at Alice in a way that does not go unnoticed by Tess and Sophie, who are excited to see the boy showing interest in their friend. They go on to tease Alice about the boy, telling her that this waiter seems to have gotten obsessed with her, but Alice right away tells them to stop, adding that she already has a boyfriend. Alice has a boyfriend named Simon, and even when she's hanging out with her friends, Alice keeps checking her phone again and again because Simon keeps texting her. Their relationship does not really seem to be a healthy one. Simon happens to be a very successful artist, and many people recognize his work, so he has already managed to become a big deal when it comes to artists in the country. There is going to be a gallery opening where Simon is due to unveil many of his artistic works. Alice goes on to invite both her friends to the opening as well. Tess and Sophie go on to tell her that they will be there for her. Sophie then tells Tess that they can go to her place for the whole week and party their butts off for 7 long days because her parents are not going to be there. She then goes on to ask Alice if she's going to be able to make it, and Alice tells her that she will try her best, but she cannot say anything is for sure. It is implied that Alice met Simon in Tess's circle. However, despite Simon's connection to Tess, he seems to be removing her from her friends. Sophie proposes that they should celebrate Tess's birthday at her parents' house in up north too. Alice is loving this hangout, but there is something that keeps distracting her. She goes on to receive another message, which is presumably from her boyfriend. She then tells Tess and Sophie that she has to leave right away, and just like that, she's gone. However, she goes to the bathroom first and takes a picture of a cleavage to send to her boyfriend. She seems really worried and lost. Even when she's in her car and finally makes it back home, she keeps twisting her hair. Whenever she's alone, she always seems to be worried and lost. When she gets home, she finds a note in her pocket on which a phone number has been written. It is presumably from that waiter at the bar, but she does not want to get in trouble with her boyfriend, so she goes on to wash that paper first and then throws it away. She then gets undressed and hits the shower. While she's in the shower, she still cannot think about that later, and as she stands in front of the mirror, she imagines that waiter standing right behind her, but it only turns out to be her boyfriend Simon, who ends up startling her. They then make their way to the bedroom, and it seems like Simon is a really controlling guy, and she is scared of him too. When the morning comes, she wakes up before Simon does. She goes on to make her hair right away and puts on some makeup so that she looks presentable to him when he wakes up. When they are about to go to work, they take a walk together, and Simon goes on to enter a bakery. Alice tells him that he's the one who said they were going to cut back on sugar, but he says that it is just this time and that they will surely cut back on sugar after this. Alice keeps twisting her hair all the time. When Simon is standing in the bakery, she starts thinking about what Sophie said about spending the whole week at her parents' house. She's now trying to come up with a plan to make an excuse in front of her boyfriend so that he can allow her to spend the whole week at her friend's place. She is sure about one thing, and that is that she cannot tell him the truth. She cannot just say that she's going to be with her friends because Simon has made it abundantly clear that he does not like Tess and Sophie and that she should stay away from them as much as she can. He has made it clear that he should be her only priority because no one else has any importance for her. Alice finally comes up with a plan. She decides that she's going to tell him that she's going to be away for the weekend for a whole week. So when Simon comes out of the bakery, she goes on to tell him that she's going on a work trip to Minneapolis for the whole week. She does not even mention a friend. They later make their way to the art gallery opening of Simon, where Simon keeps acting like a possessive and controlling partner. Sophie also makes it to the opening, and Alice is really happy to see her. Tess, however, has not come to the party because she does not like Simon at all. Alice and Sophie then hang out together for a while, and we see that Simon is really annoyed by that too. He's also annoyed by the fact that no one out there buys his painting. Simon then tells Alice that they are going to leave right away, and Alice tells Sophie that she must leave now, adding that she's going to see her tomorrow because she's coming to the cottage with her. When they finally get home, Simon is really worried because he does not think that his opening was a success. He goes on to say that no one came to his opening, but Alice tries to comfort him, telling him that there are actually many people at the opening. He then tells Alice that there were many people, but they mean nothing to him because none of them bothered buying a single painting. We then see Alice sitting in the bathroom, where we again notice how she's pulling and twisting her own hair as if she's always nervous or psychologically down. This is proof that she's going through a lot of anxiety, but she's not able to do anything about it. She does not even express herself in front of her boyfriend or her friends, for that matter. The next day, Tess, Sophie, and Alex get in the car and make their way to the cottage. It can be noticed that Alice is still lost. She still keeps receiving texts from her boyfriend, and she's still not able to hang out with her friend the way that it's supposed to be. While Tess and Sophie are enjoying music and joking around, Alice sits quietly in the back seat as she's just too busy reading texts that are being constantly sent to her by her boyfriend. Even when he's not texting her, he's always on her mind, and the only thing she's able to think about is the time she spends with him and how she deals with her and the things he does to her. This is why she's not able to enjoy anything that is going on in the present. It does not matter how good of company she has as they drive on. Alice goes on to tell Sophie to stop the car, and she does. Alice gets out of the car and starts throwing up right away. Tess and Sophie are also worried about her. They ask her if she's alright, and she just tells them to keep going. The trio then makes a quick stop at a convenience store where Alice spots a flyer for a missing girl, Andrea. The missing person case seems to consume Alice. They, however, get the necessary stuff from the store and drive on. After a while, they finally get to their destination, and it is a lovely spot for a getaway. They, however, notice that the cottage needs some cleaning, so they get started on that right away. They keep themselves busy engaging in different kinds of stuff and just try to relax. But Alice is still very much lost in her own thoughts. They go out to see the lovely sunset, but Alice still refuses to bring a smile to her face. Alice still cannot stop thinking about her boyfriend. They have gone to that place for a vacation, but Alice is still not present with them at all. Simon again goes on to text her at 2 in the morning, and she again takes close-ups of her body and sends them to Simon. When the morning comes, she makes her way out to jog, which is part of her morning routine, and as she jogs, she listens to a podcast. She then goes to sit by a lake, where everything is just so pleasant. Despite everything being so pleasant around her, she's not able to get her mood to be as pleasant. When she's sitting by the lake, she's approached by 2 policemen who have been looking for a missing girl named Andrea. They ask her if she has seen that girl. Alice, however, tells them that she has not seen the girl, and they leave. They then try to play games, but Tess is yet again lost. She keeps receiving texts from Simon when they're playing Scrabble. She's not able to focus. We see her receiving constant text messages from her boyfriend. He's always controlling her and psychologically abusing her by insulting her openly, despite knowing the fact that it is having a very bad effect on Alice's mental health. He's always in control of her, which is why he happens to know everything about her. He is at times so freaky that she has started wondering whether he can read minds. She keeps behaving very strangely throughout the trip, and even gets into arguments with her besties, and is extremely rude to them. She then goes on to act in a very weird manner when they're eating sweets, because she is just losing her mind. She eats very weirdly, and makes weird faces, which just freaks out her friends, and she goes on to defend Simon. Even when her friends try to tell her that he might not be the right man for her, despite the fact that they still don't know the full truth about him. Alice acts so weirdly that she tells her friends about her body parts as well. It absolutely freaks them both out. She even goes on to join a search party that is looking for the missing girl, Andrea, but has no luck. She then acts weird again when she starts chopping wood out of nowhere. Her friends now start wondering what is wrong with her because she never used to be like this. Sophie says that there is definitely something wrong going on about which these 2 are not aware, and they now want to know what it is. Alice still refuses to tell them the truth behind her current condition. As they spend their time there, Simon goes on to discover where they actually are from Tess's Instagram posts. He is pissed to learn that Alice lied to him, so he right away calls Alice and tells her to leave and return to him. Alice tells her friends that she's gonna have to cut the trip short, at which they do not understand why she's doing this. She tells them that she has to get back to Simon because he loves her a lot. Alice packs up, but when she's just about to leave, Tess goes on to hide her phone and wallet, while Sophie goes to the store as an excuse for Tess and Alice to spend time together. Tess tries to teach Alice to paddleboard on the lake. She jokingly rocks the board, thus Alice falls off and loses her earring, a gift from Simon. Alice, in a panic, dives down to find the earring unsuccessfully. She returns to the shore where she suffers further panic attacks, muttering the phrase that she can't do another thing wrong. When pressed by Tess, they have an argument, and Alice confesses that she hid their vacation retreat from Simon. Tess immediately questions Alice's well-being. Alice cancels her plan to leave, and the next morning, she joins the search party for Andrea again. Now that she does not have her phone, she starts feeling much better because there was no undue pressure on her. She spends quality time with her friends the way it's meant to be and starts feeling much better now. While looking for the missing girl somewhere near the abandoned cottage, she finds the lipstick and thinks it belongs to Andrea. They then make their way to the cottage and continue to have a good time. Alice starts opening up to her friends, even at one point telling them that Simon never hurt her physically, but eventually admitted Simon subjected her to emotional abuse. Alice stops responding to Simon's messages. This makes him angrier and goes on to show up unannounced with grocery bags in hand that evening. At a very tense dinner, Simon pulls out a newspaper showing the news that the body of the missing girl was finally found. Alex takes out the lipstick and says what she thinks about it. Simon condescendingly attempts to shut her down, as he always does because he likes insulting her. The next morning, Alex packs and leaves the cottage, surprising her friends. On the way to the main road, Simon stops his car at a junction, allowing a long line of cyclists to pass. Sophie catches up with the car and breaks the back windshield using a mallet. Alice gets out and locks eyes with Sophie, signaling to her friend that she does not want to go with Simon. Sophie can see it in her eyes that Alice is scared to go back with him. Simon, meanwhile, demands for Alice to get back in the car, but she firmly declines. Tess steps in between Simon and Alice, forcing Simon to give up. He walks back to the car and aggressively throws Alice's possessions out before driving away. In the last scene of the movie, we see Alice riding a paddleboard, and then she dives into the lake like the free spirit that she is now. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new movie recaps.